Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another 600 Speed Week edition of the NRN Update. My name is Chris Graham, and once again, we are joined by Justin Groves of Newsroom. We're going to recap last night's events out at Path Valley Speedway, and then we're also going to take a look ahead to tonight's racing action up at Linda's Speedway. Last night, we saw a fantastic night for nicknames all the way around between the truck race, the USAC race, and the 600s. Mr. Freeze picking up the win at Eldora, the Stony Point stud running away with things out at Path Valley, at least for most of the race in the 600s anyway. And then you have a guy called the High Side Tickler running the truck race as well. So all in all, Chris Berman would have been absolutely thrilled with the nicknames last night. So Justin, we'll start with a recap of the USAC race. The Clausen Marshall benefit that it's been PA Midget Week got interrupted last night by Tucker Boat Motorsports. Chad Boat picked up his fourth career PA win, tying him with his dad Billy on the all-time list and passing one of the biggest badasses ever, Mel Kenyon, for most all-time in PA. What'd you think of the USAC show?
I thought it went a lot better than what I expected going into the feature. That track slicked off a lot faster than I thought it was going to, and especially when they had three divisions, they didn't have a lot of time to work on it. And Zeb Wise was really making that top work for quite a while, but Chad was just really locked down on that bottom, which is pretty much where everyone was by the end of the night. And after a pretty intense battle with Zeb, really just kind of pulled away in the end and just showed why Chad has had such dominance on these Pennsylvania tracks in the future or in the past.
I think that goes a long way towards our discussion that we had a little bit yesterday with not running more than two divisions on these USAC shows. Having that time for track prep can really make a difference. And I mean, even with three divisions, we still saw a pretty good race out at Path Valley last night. It kind of stunk to see the bottom hook up as well as it did and kind of force everybody down there. Is that something that the rest of the tracks for this week will be looking at, do you think?
I would say, I mean, the rest of the tracks on the USAC schedule don't really get too bottom feederish, especially not Lenko. If you see cars on the bottom there, that would be a complete shock. Pretty much Lindo's has just, you may see a little bit of it, but that track is just so full of momentum. You kind of need to stay to like a medium higher groove. It'll just be interesting to see how high the groove gets at Linda's tonight. Because that track can be pretty much on the bottom, or if they hook it up right, there could be a curb right against the wall, which I think is what everyone's hoping for. But it'll be curious to see if that actually happens.
Yeah, I think we saw that last year with Lenko. I mean, even having the fence, they still left it pretty sloppy for those guys to build up a curb, and the racing we got last year out of Lenko was just ridiculous. So hopefully the track prep crews keep things up. They've done a great job so far this week. We've seen two really good tracks for the 600s. And all three for the midgets have been outstanding. So the Clausen Marshall cars were still dominant overall, however, last night. They took home the rest of the podium with Wyndham coming home second, Tyler Courtney third. With third place man in points, Logan Seavey coming home fifth. At this point in the week, is Keith Kunz Motorsports just trying not to fall too far behind?
Yeah, I think at this point, I would say so. I mean, it's a little bit tougher, especially when you really think about it. And Keith, it almost seems like they do better when they have more cars. So I don't know if it's more cars that they bring. It just seems like they're more dominant. With only having, you have Thorson, you have CV, you have and Carrick. You do have less cars that Keith Kunz usually brings, but I think right now at this point, you just kind of have to salvage the points because I think Courtney is now a little over 100 points ahead of really anyone in sight. So you just got to make sure that you can make it back to the Midwest and West Coast where those cars are a little bit more dominant and just still be within range of the points lead.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. I think the Keith Kunz team is really going to work. I mean, last year they were very good out at Lenko, but like you said, they had more cars. So I think that may be their one shot to really try to pick up as we finish the week out. So Timmy Buckwalter gave the hometown fans something to cheer about as well, picking up the hard charger coming from 16th to 9th. Andrew Laser rounded out the top 10 after starting 11th. What do you think we're going to see for the rest of this week from the hometown guys?
Tonight will be interesting. With Linda's, you'll have guys such as like Bruce Buckwalter that have a lot of laps there. But I think really just overall, the SR11s and the Speedway Toyotas are just so much more superior than really what most of the old ARDC guys really have. I think tonight will probably give the best shot of the local contingency, as you'll have Tommy Koonsman hopping into a midget. And I know he has some pretty good equipment that he's been pretty much just saving for his home track at Linda's tonight. But I really just think tonight's going to be the best shot. When we get back to Langfield, I think you're going to see a little bit more of the same that we have seen leading up to tonight.
All right, well, let's move over to the 600s now. Damon Paul was the newsroom passing point champion of the night. Put him on the pole for the feature. And Alex Bright tried to stay close, but the Stony Point stud absolutely took off like a rocket there early in the feature.
Yeah, really, I mean, the one reason why I put in my article that I thought Damon was going to do really well is that pretty much if the track gets to a bottom feeding condition, you're just not going to beat Damon. He's probably the best driver on the bottom and in all of the Northeast and micro sprints. That's pretty much how the track was for most of the race. And as we'll kind of get into it, there was a medium to high groove that did develop. Brian Carver and Kyle Spence were starting to show that it was up there in the B mains, but only really Colin White took advantage of that in the feature.
I would say, and that was probably that second, third, and fourth place battle between Alex Bright, Colin White, and Tommy Koonsman. Was that the best racing we saw towards the front of the race all night?
Yes, for the most part, you could see that there was a train coming in from the back, and Alex was really just doing everything he could to hold those guys up as much as possible. But once Colin got by, it really started to dice things up between, like you said, between Bright, Koonsman, and then you had Buckwalter and also Brian Carver, and then Spence made it really dicey at the end there for all those cars really battling from like third to eighth place.
And that was actually one of the neat things that we saw there was, I mean, by the halfway point, 3 cars that were no better than 13th on the starting grid were all running and battling for the top 5. So the track was very, very racy for the 600s last night.
Yeah, and then it's just one of those things with the passing points that if you have a rough heat or just a bad qualifier, it really sets your night back, which happened to Buckwalter. Carver, I thought was going to be done for the night after it appeared he blew up, or it must have not been as serious in the qualifier. And then Spence, as we talked about, Action Track really just struggled to make it through the heats and had the same issue tonight with the heats and the qualifiers, but really saved himself in the B main and made a great run in the feature.
So as we push through about halfway through, about 10 laps in, I guess, the first caution regrouped the field. Paul was just, again, he checked out from the lead. Colin White, that's where we really started to see that middle to high groove come in, I guess. And he was pushing Alex Bright on the bottom for that second spot. Once White got past, was he as quick as Damon Paul, if not a little bit quicker?
Initially, I would say they are pretty even, but you could see as the laps were winding down, Paul developed a pretty bad push in 3 and 4 that was allowing White to pick up a little bit, but definitely if there wasn't the caution towards the end, I can definitely say White wasn't going to have anything for Paul because Paul just had checked out so far.
So then we get to the probably the story of the night. The caution flag late in the race sets up a green-white checkered finish, and they double them up. Was that something that all of these drivers knew about in the rule book ahead of time? And what are your thoughts on doubling the field up with 2 to go like that?
Yeah, so I don't know the rules inside and out of how we set it up for Speedweek, and I guess we just really didn't have that at Action Track to see that. I was really surprised because pretty much any organization, if they run double file restarts, it goes single file for either the last 5 or the last 10 laps. So it was shocking just not knowing that we're going to have double file for a green-white checkered. But you really have to look at it from really both sides of the perspective. That from a fan perspective, you have to love it, but from a driver perspective, it could really just cause a lot of mayhem. And as you can see, Damon Paul definitely wasn't in favor of it, and Colin White definitely loved it last night. Personally, I think it kind of robs the leader a little bit, that they've really worked that whole time and they have to fight off another double file restart at the end. But it puts on a race for the fans, and the fans are the reason why we go out and run. So I'm going to kind of hedge my bet in the middle on this one.
I agree. I almost want to say like pull the Delaware style start where you put the leader out front and then double them up or something like that. But anyway, it makes for a great race. And if we see that again tonight or tomorrow night at Lanco, even Sunday night out at Spirit, at least everybody knows about it going in now, and we're really going to give the fans a show late in those races. So on the restart, Paul kind of bobbled in turn 3. White was able to get around him on the outside, held on for the win. It was his second career Speedweek win, I guess. First win at Path Valley. Damon Paul came home second, Alex Bright third, Buck Walter fourth, Tommy Koonsman fifth. And then outside the top 5, like you talked about, really nice runs by Carber and Spence, who both came from the B mains to finish 6th and 7th. You can't necessarily compare the midgets and the 600s, but all in all, I think we're seeing fantastic racing out of both divisions in the 2 nights they've run together so far.
Yeah, in the past, I think we were just really excited that the midgets were coming to the East Coast, but I don't really think the racing was all that great. But really this year, every single night, it's pretty much come down to the last 5 or 10 laps, which you really couldn't say a lot in the previous years of USAC being here, besides 1 or 2 races. But I think it definitely helps now that tracks run wingless more consistently. Like, even though that Path Valley doesn't have they don't really run midgets or wingless 600s. They do run those wingless super sportsmans every week. So they're getting better to know how to prep a wingless track, where in the past you'd have like just modifieds and they would just prep it like they would for a modified track, which is not what you need for a good racing in a wingless division.
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit off air about the fact that maybe the novelty's worn off the NASCAR Truck Series race at Eldora. I think we're seeing the exact opposite happen here, where as the tracks are getting more accustomed to the midgets and the USAC teams are beginning to develop a little bit of a notebook on these places, I think we're going to see the racing get better over time as we go.
Yeah, I think tonight will be a little bit more of a challenging night, but definitely you're going to see a good night of racing at Lanco. But as I was just talking about, I've been kind of surprised how well each night is going to be. So maybe Linda's will really surprise me. I heard a lot of great things about how the surface looked last week at Linda's. So I know they've been trying really hard to make sure that surface is really good for the midgets tonight. So we may just be in for a really quality show tonight at Linda's.
Well, we're hoping so. And we'll move on to our previews and our picks for tonight's racing action. What do you think we're going to see out of the midgets here? We talked a little bit about the track surface, and they've put the whole crew over there has really been putting a lot of work in throughout the season, and especially these last couple of weeks to have it ready. What do you think we'll see from a surface standpoint there?
Yeah, I went a couple of weeks ago, and it was a little bit bumpier on the bottom, which I mean, I've been probably going to Linda's now for 12 to 13 years, and that bump has always been there in 3 and 4. But what it seemed like last week, what I heard from a lot of guys, that they really subdued a lot of the bumpiness in 3 and 4. So if they can really make that 2 to 3 grooves in 3 and 4, it's going to make for really great racing, because 1 and 2 is just really tight. And really how you have to run Linda's is that you just got to make sure you get a really just nice momentum into 1 and 2. And if you're going to make a move, it's got to be in 3 and 4. So as long as it's smooth as it can be in 3 and 4, that's going to be really the determinant of how good the racing's going to be tonight.
Knowing what we now know, having 3 nights under our belts for the midgets out here in PA, we're not seeing a ton of variety at the front of the field. And even in the point standings, it's, Courtney, Wyndham, CV, Wise, and KTJ are the top 5 in points, and Chad Boat's only a handful of points back in 6th. Do we see those 6 guys kind of continue to be the dominant factors going into this event, especially knowing that the surface may not be as perfect as they want it?
I would definitely say so, especially as we talked about before, these aren't really like heat races or passing points that set the lineup. So there's not going to be someone that just lucks out and has like a 6th the first run to really start up front. It's all pretty much set on time trials. So your competitors with the better equipment are going to time trial well, and that's going to just set up to those 5 or 6 guys that you just mentioned that are going to be up front again tonight.
Yeah, we saw last night Zeb Wise was the pole sitter out of Path Valley, and then it was the 2 Keith Coons, Kerb Agajanian cars of Tucker Klossmeyer and Kyle Larson rounding out the top 3 in time trials. Larson will not be at Linda's tonight, at least I don't think so anyway. I would be kind of shocked knowing they're up at Watkins Glen at this point. So who do you think, who's your pick for quick time and for the race?
Oh wow, you're really putting me on the spot for quick time tonight. Quick time tonight, I think you're just going to have to go with Tyler Courtney. He's pretty much been top 3 every single night, and now his biggest competitor with time trials is not going to be there tonight. But it's actually, I think, going to be a disadvantage to get fast time. As we talked about, it's going to probably be a tougher track to pass on tonight. So I'm actually going to say someone that's going to probably time trial about 6 to 10 is going to really have the best shot at winning. And I think this was your pick yesterday, or at least one of the people that you mentioned, but I think tonight will actually line up pretty nicely for Logan Seavey. I think Keith Coons is going to be kind of tired of seeing his cars not in victory lane. It almost seems weird that we're going 3 nights in a row without seeing a Keith Coons car really just raising the checkered. So I think tonight's going to be the night that they buck that trend.
All right, I'm going to go a little bit out on a limb here. Same team, but I think Tucker Klossmeyer is going to be the quick time guy. He seemed to be able to adjust quickly off the truck, and that's with not getting a ton of laps at these places. I think that's going to be really critical, and this is a spot that I don't think the Midgets have run at. They've been scheduled to run, but they haven't run at in a couple of years due to weather. It's one of those that if you're able to adjust quickly, I think that's going to be the one. He's going to be our quick time pick, and I'll give you our race win pick here before everyone else, only because I'm cherry picking yours for quick time, and that's going to be Tyler Courtney. He's been just so consistent this week. I don't see how you can really pick against either him or really Chris Wyndham with both of those Clausen Marshall cars.
Yeah, and if you're really going to talk about consistency, I'm pretty sure now Tanner Thorson has finished 4th in every single night so far. So if you're looking for a safe pick to finish in the top 5, I think Tanner's going to be your driver for tonight. But I know we usually don't do a dark horse for the USAC series, but I think you're going to have to watch Tommy Koonsman tonight. He's ran so many laps at that track. He has really good midget equipment. And last year, it was 2 years ago, he kicked off the season by sweeping the 600 midget and 270 feature all in one night. So he'll time trial, I think, fairly well. So if he can get into that top 6 or 7, he's going to give those USAC drivers a run for their money tonight.
And that's always something that's fun to watch, is to see the local guys go out there and really give the national stars a run for their money. So I do like the pick of Tommy Koonsman there. We'll move over to the 600 side of things here. We were checking out your newsroom, your point standings and your driver ratings and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, for anybody listening who hasn't been over there, go check out the data that Justin is putting together. Justin and his team, I should say, are putting together. Winged versus wingless numbers. I mean, there's all sorts of really outstanding statistics they're putting up. You mentioned Tommy Koonsman. Is there a way to bet against this guy going into tonight in the 600s? Wingless on the season, he's got 10 starts, 5 wins, 8 podiums, 9 top 5s, and he hasn't finished outside the top 10. I
would not suggest against it. And it's not just that he's picking like one every time and starting from the pole. I mean, the man has started like 13th and one, started 7th and one. I mean, he has started on the pole and one. Really, he's pretty much the Babe Ruth of Linda's, that he just picks his spot and he just goes where he wants to go and wins. So I would not pick against him.
I would say that's one of those things that I just don't see how that's a real smart pick there. And he's only 25 points back of Alex Bright for the points lead in the 600 Speedweek point standings as well. We did see a good bit of shuffling last night. Colin White went from, I say, 6th or 7th, whatever it was, after Action Track. He's now 2nd in points, and he's only 14 back, I guess. No, 24 back, sorry. What do we see Colin White gain a little bit of ground on Alex Bright, or is this one of those where Alex has another shot to really extend things and almost lock it down?
Yeah, it's tough to really predict, because you'd want to really give the upper hand to Alex based on he's run a lot of laps at Linda's, especially he used to run there quite a bit. His first time running 600s. He ran there quite a bit in the midgets and had a lot of success in the midgets there. And also he's run there, and really last night you saw that he had the speed and ran pretty well when it's slick. Where Colin White really just doesn't have a lot of laps at Linda's. I'm not even sure how many times he's been there. But Path Valley, last night was the first time he was at Path Valley, and he sure looked like a veteran. So I really don't know. I may feel like I'm being safe with a lot of these choices, but I'm going to kind of have to split the difference on this one of who I would really give the edge to. I guess, if anything, got to slightly give the edge to experience with Bright. But like you said, Koonsman doesn't really run the first two tracks, finishes top 5 in both. So he may make a big run on points tonight, if anything.
Another guy that we're going to give a little bit of a shout out to is Ryan Groff. He's currently sitting 2nd in point standings in the wingless division out at Linda's, behind Koonsman, who's got 4 wins on the season. The last race out at Linda's, which I'm not sure if this was winged or wingless, but Groff finished 3rd and Koonsman came home 4th. Groff's got 9 starts, 2 podiums, 6 top 5, 6 top 10s. Very consistent runner, wingless, and especially out at Linda's.
Yeah, Groff has really shown he can hold his own the past. I believe 2 or 3 speed weeks ago, he went out and won like the first 2 nights. And if I'm not mistaken, Linda's was one of those that he just went out and dominated. He's been really itching for that first win. He was really strong at Action Track. I picked him a lot, I feel like, this year to win races, and it just on a night where he had a bad pill draw or whatnot. But yeah, if you're looking for, it's tough to say a dark horse, but if you're looking for more of a dark horse, Ryan Groff would be a good pick for tonight.
And actually the other one that I kind of have here as a dark horse is Gary Bazowski. He's really going to be at home down at Spirit, but he's got 9 wingless starts on the season, couple of podiums, 7 of his 9 starts he's in the top 10. I think we might be a little bit surprised what we see out of Mr. Bazowski.
Yeah, he's like Luke Thomas at Spirit. He's been Mr. Consistency. Of course, the one time I go to watch, he got tangled in one of the few accidents that started the night at Spirit. It'll be interesting to see how he does if he shows up tonight. I know he was signed up for the points, but we haven't seen him the first 2 nights. So hopefully tonight we'll see Mr. Bazowski show up to run at Linda's.
All right, so it's time for picks. Who's your pick to win tonight in the 600s?
Yeah, I think I hinted at it before, but I'm just not going to be the person that picks against Tommy Koonsman at Linda's. I may die on that well of picking him, but there's, even with probably about 55 to 60 drivers tonight, I'm just going to go with what I know best and who I've just seen just dominate time and time again. Especially when he runs at Linda's, it's not like he's running against nobody, and he's typically like 2 to 3 tenths faster. So even with a little bit stiffer competition tonight, I still see that Tommy's going to win this evening.
Yeah, I don't see how you can pick against Tommy Koonsman out at Linda's. He's currently 4th in the points, like we had mentioned, for the 600 Speedweek totals. I, this is one of those nights where it's just if somebody beats him, it's a shock, and it doesn't matter who it is that beats him. To me, it would be a bit of a shock. So that's the NRN side pick to win tonight. Both of us have Tommy Kunzman. Who's your pick for a dark horse to run up front?
Yeah, I was debating it a little bit. I'll go with someone that just hasn't maybe had quite the weekend, but has will definitely be a little bit more at home at Linda Speedways. I'll go with Jesse Maurer. Jesse Maurer already has at least one wingless win on the year at Linda's. When I was out at Lanco a few weeks ago, man, his car looked really, really strong. He's got plenty of laps at Linda's, and I think he hasn't really had the greatest finishes at Action Track and Path Valley, but he's definitely going to be more at home tonight at Linda's and tomorrow at Lanco. I'd really be surprised if you don't see Jesse making a run towards the top 5 tonight.
I don't quite know how we pulled this one off, but that's the name I have circled on the piece of paper here in front of me is Jesse Maurer as well. One of the nicer guys you're going to run into in the pit area as well. So if you get a chance to go into the pits and say hi, go back and give Jesse a shout because he's always good for an autograph and a quick chat. But all in all, he runs well at Linda's, and tonight and tomorrow night are really kind of set up for him to do fairly well. He's very aggressive on the racetrack, should be good to pick up a lot of passing points, which is just absolutely critical in the format here for the 600s. I mean, like we've seen, you have guys like Kyle Spence and James Morris that are currently 12th and 13th in the point standings because they don't have the passing points. So seeing Jesse Maurer pass a lot of cars with all the laps he's got at Linda's, I think that one's an outstanding pick. So anything else that we're looking for tonight as we head into the evening's festivities?
Yeah, I would hope to see maybe a little bit more diversity in the top 10 of just drivers. I was really shocked. Really, the first 2 nights, you could just take the top 10 drivers from Action Track, pretty much put them in a bucket and just spit out those names. And that was pretty much the same top 10 that you saw at Path Valley. I thought, if anything, Path Valley was going to maybe see some locals really start to switch things up, or at least maybe make a good run. I know Zane Rudisill made a solid run early on, but that kind of faded away. But I think a lot of these drivers, especially the top 10 in points, have a fair amount of laps at Linda's. So I fear that you're going to probably see a lot of the top 10 still the same at Linda's they have seen at the last 2 nights, but it'll be interesting to see if we have a new winner, especially Damon Paul, to come back after being so dominant last night to see if he can finally get a win this week.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that you say that about the point standings because we had, by my count, 8 of the top 10 were the same from night 1 to night 2. And it can certainly sort of make things a bit of a runaway at the front, especially if we see Alex Bright do something like he's done the last 2 nights and keep the car in the top 3. So that one's going to be interesting for me to see, as well as to see how night 3 is sort of, I think, a differentiator. It splits the cars with a chance at a points title from those that don't. And that one's going to be a really interesting development as the night goes on as well.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see how this goes. And then we really just get into the last half of Speedweek starting tomorrow at Lanco, and it's going to be a strong and fast end to the week.
Yeah, I mean, we go from Linda's, which is, they're used to having the wingless 600s out there, so they're going to put on a great show. Lanco is Lanco. It's just a big, fast bowl of a racetrack. And then we go someplace completely different again when we head over to Spirit Auto Center Speedway at Bridgeport on Sunday. I know Danny Serrano, the GM over there, is becoming a big small car fan. He has got to be like frothing at the mouth ready to have these guys come in there.
Yeah, and they'll also be the headliners of the night, which is a nice change because even though it's great to have the USAC drivers in town, you're definitely getting 2 to 3 more times the 600 drivers really from a field size compared to the midget. So it'll be good that they at least get one night to really be the headliner of the show.
Yeah, the stars of the show, and that's when they're going to pass out the big checks and all the hardware at the end of the night. So, and by the way, I'm not sure who did the trophy artwork this year for 600 Speedweek, but absolutely outstanding work. The trophies they're giving away at the end of this week are gorgeous.
Yeah, no, I don't know who did those, but yeah, that's a beautiful trophy to have up on your mantle.
Absolutely. All right, Justin. Well, we will let you run here, let you get off to the racetrack. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here again on this special edition of the NRN Update. Thank you to Justin Groves for joining us here from Newsroom. Make sure you check out his website, newsvroom.com, NEWZVROOM.com. And again, everybody enjoy night number 4, I guess, of NOS Energy National Midget Tour for the USAC Series, and night number 3 of Hyper Racing 600 Speedweek presented by 600cc Performance. So thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow with a recap of Linda's and a preview of the big monster show down at Lenko. Thanks for joining us, everybody.